When you look at the IoT, I think there's another confusion, or another, not confusion, but maybe a lack of consideration, is IoT is a lot of the guidance around devices. But, when you look at an IoT ecosystem, right, there's a lot more to it than just a device, right? You've got the device, we've got a piece of software, often mobile software on iOS or Android, or a thick client device, that's intended to help you configure that, right? We've got the embedded web services and or API on the device in and of itself. So we've got a mobile app, we've got a cloud component, right? So we've got cloud infrastructure, we might have cloud API, we might have a cloud web app on top of that, and we may have ecosystem partners, right? You may be talking up through Cradlepoint. You may, let's say if we use Alexa as an example, and I hope she doesn't answer. Thank you.
I'll put it
yeah, I was waiting. But I mean, if you think about it, you're talking to her, and she's out talking to the Spotify cloud and other clouds, right? So again, same question. What pieces does the IoT security framework that you developed out of an IoT ecosystem address?
Well, we have 21 different domains that address holistic. We really think about the device as well as infrastructure as code checks. Like nowadays, you have Terraform, you have all these, Docker Kubernetes, you have Docker files, you have these YAML files. But putting automated kind of checks and validation checks from a build perspective or deployment perspective. But we even go as far as to add legal considerations. It has its own domain, which I think really sets itself apart from other pieces of guidance and best practices and documents out there, especially from a framework perspective. But I think literally from the ground up, we start with, knowing what you have. Asset management is the number one control domain. And, because you can't protect what you don't know you have, and you don't know how to protect it. You don't even know the versioning of it. So we start from asset management, config management, secure connections, and all the way down to security testing and the different types of security testing, which is, I might add, one of the newest sections that we've included in version 2. Security testing could be not only penetration testing, red teaming, but also like third-party assessments where you really don't have the in-house skill to, let's say, perform, the physical type of engagements. I would say like firmware or hardware, or even wireless as an example.
Yeah, and then all the controls too, just to add on to what Aaron's saying, they're all applied architecturally. John, you mentioned before, it's applied to the devices, the networks, the gateway, and then the applications. And so you can kind of see within that ecosystem where specific controls apply. And I think that was the one big thing too is, I've had these conversations a lot in the past. We mentioned, again, I keep bringing up the cloud controls matrix, but it's a really highly adopted controls framework for cloud. And people are always like, why do we need one for IoT? Why is IoT so different? And we already talked about how different the networks are, having these local and these LANs and PANs that you need to worry about. So you have all these different kinds of Bluetooth, Zigbee, and other sorts of short area wireless networks. You have the messaging protocols that are different between these devices, because again, these devices are tiny. So we need to change messaging protocols. We need to change encryption protocols, certificate types. And so there's so many things that can go into changing this ecosystem to where we really felt like a framework needs to pay attention to these details at IoT. What makes IoT different, all these devices that we talked about, what separates them from the way we do things currently. And this framework highlights those things.